This episode is brought to you by the Park People. The Park People is a nonprofit working with communities to plant trees and improve parks for a healthy, resilient Denver. Home to the Denver Digs Trees program, the Park People has planted over 70,000 trees throughout Denver. Their Earth Day tree sale offers beautiful and practical shade, fruit, and flowering trees at 60% discounted wholesale prices. The sale takes place on April 19th from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. at the Park People's offices at 450 Decatur Street in the Valverde neighborhood. Learn more about the tree species offered as well as the benefits of planting trees this Earth Day at theparkpeople.org. This episode is brought to you by TaskRabbit. Denverites know how to work hard and play hard, but you don't have to do it all yourself. TaskRabbit has been helping Mile High City residents for over a decade with everything from furniture assembly to minor home repairs. Don't let that to-do list ruin your weekend. Use the TaskRabbit app to describe what you need and find a skilled tasker in your neighborhood who can take it off your plate. And TaskRabbit offers transparent pricing. You'll see the hourly rate up front, which includes the tasker's rate and the service fee. So there's no surprises at checkout. Download the TaskRabbit app or visit taskrabbit.com today to get those home to-dos crossed off. Welcome to CityCast Denver. I'm Bree Davies, and here's what Denver's talking about. Today, we're talking about a local lesbian bar potentially being saved by over $83,000 in donations in less than 48 hours, Denver's hopes for the DNC, and we answer some of your questions and comments. Producer Paul Karolyi, good morning.
Hey, what's up, Bree?
And Westword editor Patty Calhoun, hi.
Hi.
I forgot to ask you, are you emeritus yet?
Oh, God, no.
Okay.
I have so much more screaming outside this office before then.
That's what I was hoping
Monday
for.
production.
Perfect. All right. Our first topic is something that we have been talking about all weekend, and so much so that we were talking about it before we were recording. This is the story of the Pearl. So over the weekend, the owners of this lesbian bar made a post on Instagram that they would be closing the space at the end of April, citing financial troubles. But the response to that post was pretty swift. Like, people were in the comments asking them, is there a place to donate? Can we help you? So the owners created a GoFundMe, and we'll get into this a little bit. The description for the fundraiser did not explicitly say what any of this money was going to, but they raised $83,000 in, I think, less than 2 days. And I noticed a little bit later on in the day after the GoFundMe was posted, they did add a line to the description that said, we plan to allocate funds for our staff/payroll, which is roughly $11,000 per week, as well as rent.
Interesting. So I hadn't seen that. $11,000 per week. And we know from Denverite that the rent they're paying to Danny Newman, who owns the building, is $20,000 a month. So $11,000 a week times 4, $44,000 plus 20, $64,000 a month.
At least. I mean,
you're
talking about food. You're talking about paying
payroll.
people.
Yeah.
Beyond payroll, you're talking about paying performers, which might not be included in that. You're talking about all the other expenses. So you've got to think it's at least $80,000 a month to run the place.
$80,000 a month. So,
and I will say, I heard from someone off the record who has worked for them in a capacity that said they had not been paid yet. And there was some thoughts over who was getting paid first and who wasn't. And it sounds like because they were trying to figure out how to keep the place open. So
I think, go on.
Yeah.
Well, we checked in just 3 weeks ago because there was a fight by the poets.
That was a very informative piece for us, yes.
The poetry thing was being moved. And it was 1 year exactly into them taking this over, changing the name of the Mercury to the Pearl, leasing the space, saying they would keep all the regular programming at the Mercury, because that was one of the things about the Mercury. It was the go-to place when you didn't know where to book something. Mm-hmm. A marriage, a funeral, a poetry reading,
a visit by Ralph Nader.
A visit by Ralph Nader, exactly. So it was the go-to community place, and they vowed they would keep that going, and indeed also focus on the LGBTQ plus community, which is great. They moved the poetry because Friday nights are big nights to make money. Poetry doesn't make big money on. And they moved it to Sunday, and people didn't like those changes. As we know from Danny Newman's attempt to run the Mercury, no one likes changes in beloved institutions.
It's a trap. I feel those folks on the certain side of it, but I also feel and understand these are still businesses at the end of the day. And I wonder with these owners, like, did they know what they were truly getting into just based on the cost of running a space like this, but also people's feelings about it, which Danny Newman has come up against quite a bit as well.
And 3 weeks ago, also, it seems like maybe they didn't really have a grip on their finances, because 3 weeks ago, they said it was struggling, but they didn't know they were going to announce without any warning, really 2 weeks later, that they were going to have to close that month. So you'd think you'd have a little bit more of an inkling. You'd maybe ask for help when you were being interviewed 3 weeks earlier.
And I don't think this is the first time they've asked for help, too. I believe that they asked
Producer
for...
Olivia was talking about a water boiler at GoFundMe a few months ago.
Yeah. Again, old building, you know?
Yeah. Although it's kind of interesting that the lessee would be doing the
I thought about
GoFundMe for the
that
boiler
too.
and not the building owner.
I wondered that too.
Makes me curious about the relationship they have with
the lease.
Danny.
Yeah.
Although Danny, he's been pretty consistent, as have they, that they're trying to work together to get to a point where this can maybe be run by a nonprofit. They could be part of it. There could be other investors in there.
Yeah.
It is
Well,
something you want to save for the community for all the different reasons.
Yeah.
And maybe it just needs more of a group running it that can really say, hey, financially, we're in trouble. Hey, we'll take the hit from the poetry people because you really need to move that. I mean, there's so many different issues involved in running this big place.
I know that Marilyn didn't do it on her own. She had a staff, but I remember, I've told this story before, when you would book the Mercury for an event, you had to call her on Monday and you only could talk to her on the phone. She didn't take things over email. Like, she was running this space for 30 years plus 40. I mean, in this particular incarnation on her own with staff, but it's just maybe you didn't know what kind of an undertaking it was until you came into it as an owner like Danny did, that she was doing all of that stuff.
Yeah, I mean, he bought it from her in 2021, and then
she could retire.
So she could retire.
Yeah.
And he then, I mean, as was reported for those years, dealt with union organizing on his staff.
That's right.
There was that. I don't think it was the whole staff, but it was a good contingent of people, a lot of whom have left, who were fighting him on wages and treatment. And I mean, he was already struggling to keep the business alive in the manner that it was, that he had tried to carry it on Maryland's tradition. So what it tells me is, like, the business was not working. Something about the market had changed, or the target audience was different, or the neighborhood was different. The pandemic is obviously a huge factor in that neighborhood. But it was not working. And when they talk about, in the GoFundMe, Cassidy and Dom Garcia, when they talk about absorbing the Mercs events, their staff, a kitchen, cafe, and all the building maintenance that comes with the space, that tells me, like, they didn't change enough. Like, there's something else needed to change to make that business model work.
Well, it sounds like that's what they were.
They got behind.
It sounds like that's what they were trying to do with moving the poetry night.
Yeah,
and maybe they still can. They need the community to, I think, come together, quit picking at them on littler things, and see if they can all agree it's a greater good to keep a venue like this going for all these events. And can it work? I mean,
well,
but
maybe.
Right now, people are nitpicking. I just wanted to bring up one thing.
Yes.
A good example of the challenges. So it's not a great neighborhood still at the moment.
Yes.
Other places are coming in, but they did build housing for homeless individuals. And even Marilyn, bless her heart, the most big-hearted person in the world, wasn't really thrilled with that. And so the neighborhood, during the pandemic especially, was not good. And Danny, because workers were concerned, brought in off-duty cops as security, paid a lot of money. But then some of the workers were upset because they were cops, and who arguably are going to be the best security people you can get.
I do want to say something to this piece with the new owners. When I was there interviewing them, an unhoused woman came in, and Dom, one of the owners, clearly had a relationship with her where she was picking up trash for them outside, and in exchange maybe for food or something, but they had a relationship. So I would say at least these owners tried to work with the community around them. Mm-hmm. I give them credit for that.
And I think they all have. It's just so
tricky.
And
Maryland in a different way, than Danny.
The nitpicking, and there's rumors going on. You know, that's something we have to address. There's nothing I think I can definitively say. I haven't tracked and confirmed and verified any of this stuff, but there are some rumors around these owners. They're past businesses. They're relatively new transplants. Yeah. And so, like, to me, when I saw this news Saturday morning, it was both, like, it was kind of unsurprising that the Pro was closing, but then the fact that there was this huge outpouring that showed that there's still so much love for this place, but also these rumors sparking, like there's tension in the community. Like, I don't think it's nitpicking for some people, these criticisms of the way that they're choosing to run this business. But I also think they're also very obviously serving someone in a big way to raise $80,000 in a weekend.
Let's talk about that really quick because our producer Olivia pointed out when we were prepping for this that Nene Coco, who's a finalist for RuPaul's Drag Race, which goes down this week, and Nene's from here, posted on their Instagram stories, Denver's home to the Pearl, tag the Pearl, which is one of the very few lesbian bars in the country, and it's about to close. Please join me in donating to keep the space alive. So I feel like that is probably a considerable bump from outside of the community because of this conversation and ongoing conversation about losing lesbian bars. But at the same time, Paul, I have heard from folks that were regulars there, and it was packed every night that they had an event. So there is a community there that was and would like to continue to be served, obviously.
It's just one of those places where people have really strong feelings about it from like different eras and depending on what your relationship with the place was, you feel very different about the changes that have happened in the last year.
But my concern about the rumors is if these current owners created problems, are there records? Are there lawsuits? Are there police reports? Or do people just not like do some people just not like them for some reason? And that's one of the things we need to shake out. Clearly, people were interested. If I haven't been paid, will I get paid now that they've got $83,000? They need to address that, where the money's going to go. And do they have a temporary plan, like to stay beyond April, stay into May, see if they can save it? They need to be forthcoming on that.
I have a recent update from the Pearls owners on Instagram that said, we will be putting out a statement soon to update you all on what the next move is, receipts of where the funds have gone once they are deposited, and full transparency on how we got here. We want to make sure this is handled properly as a team first, and we will keep you guys informed as possible. So
good.
That could be the answer to some of the questions. Paul,
this is the downside when you go for GoFundMe to keep your business alive. There are expectations, These are questions. That level of transparency is not what a normal business is typically expected to offer.
Fortunately, they have a venue where they could hold meetings, and they should welcome the community in and talk. That's going to be your best bet.
Yeah.
2-for-1 drinks. Come weigh in on the future of
I'm
your
not so
donation.
sure you want everyone liquored up on this one, but you definitely want them to feel they're listening, that everyone can talk.
And I saw some old Denver folks of my ilk being like, now it's just going to get torn down, turn into a parking lot. And I feel like Danny has promised that is not the plan by any means.
And then you
say whatever you want.
You could also go for a hostile historic designation too, if there were any threats of that, because culturally, I'm sure it would fit.
Oh, easily.
I feel like with this crowdfunding thing for especially an old Denver business, the fact that Nene Coco shared this and we're kind of speculating about whether or not these people donating might be from outside the city who might not have the actual personal experience with this current business proprietor of this space. It makes me think that I wonder if membership could be a good part of their business model in general. Like people just crowdfunding them on a regular basis of just, hey, I want to know that the Pearl is out there in business. Well, I don't need to go buy a drink.
Who does that already? Seven Circle does that. They have a membership program, and that keeps them because they're volunteer run, and that keeps them operating. That's because
they have a great brand and people want it. People clearly want it to exist.
It goes to the nonprofit suggestion Danny made, which is we need to open this up, get it. I mean, ideally an angel oh my God, the Acoma Center. What happened there that a realtor came in, bought it just because he loves the theater, loves old buildings, and is going to let Curious stay there.
Oh, the Curious Theater sale, which also happened in the last week.
So you wonder how many angels are there out there who can pay $1 million, $2 million for a building.
Yeah, but there's not a lot of dance buyers in this world.
Yeah, but that was such a great story. But
I do want to say something you said too, Paul, is I myself have donated to a ton of spaces I've never been to, not even in the city, because it came across my feed and it was like, help save this all ages punk space or whatever. And I can't give that much, but I can see people being motivated that way.
I can too. It feels like a natural extension of the trend that we've been talking about a lot of politically affiliated businesses. Locally, what's the most popular trend in restaurants right now? It's a no ice poster on the front door. If you say what you're about and who you are, people might want to patronize you just because they agree with you. And the Mercury could be taking advantage of that.
But remember, if we're talking $80,000 nut to keep going every month, That's a big membership. So I think they need to really look at the finances. They just need to be open, because I do think the community here and outside of here would support them.
Yeah. Again, their nights are very busy. So it's not that isn't just people donating. There is a crowd that is going there every weekend or every week. Well, we would love to hear from you. What do you think about this latest move with the Pearl, or what's going on? Or I don't know, are you frequent there? Have you worked there? Let us know what you think. 720-500-5418. Again, you can text us or leave us a voicemail. This episode is brought to you by Denver Health. At Denver Health, emergency surgical care is built for moments when every second counts. Denver Health is the first hospital in the Rocky Mountain region to earn the Emergency General Surgery verification from the American College of Surgeons, a distinction held by only a small number of hospitals nationwide. It reflects their ability to respond quickly, coordinate across teams, and deliver high-quality care in urgent, life-threatening situations. At Denver Health, expert teams are ready to act, delivering the right care at the right time when it matters most. Learn more at denverhealth.org/experts. That's denverhealth.org/experts. This episode is brought to you by the Denver Department of Transportation and Infrastructure. Hey Denver, did you know a banana peel in the landfill produces a greenhouse gas that is 80 times more potent than one being composted? This Earth Month, go green by signing up for compost service with Denver Solid Waste. If you already use the city's trash collection services, you can sign up for weekly compost collection at no extra cost. Composting yard waste, food scraps, and other organic material is great for the environment. It reduces greenhouse gas pollution and helps create healthier soils without any synthetic pesticides or fertilizers. Learn what goes into your green cart and sign up today by calling 311. Already composting? Learn where to take tricky materials like e-waste with their waste directory, or help your neighbors learn how to recycle and compost correctly with resources on their CartSmart page at denvergov.org/CartSmart. That's denvergov.org/CartSmart. Okay, we're switching gears. We're talking about politics. The DNC. So, Mayor Mike Johnston wants the next Democratic National Convention to be held here in Denver, and he is not the only politician here who feels this way. Congressman Jason Crow joined the mayor with this push. State Democratic Party Chair Shad Murab, and I didn't realize this was 3 Denver City Council members, President Amanda Sandoval, Chris Hines, and Darrell Watson, recently went on a trip to New Orleans at the end of last week to pitch Denver at the Democratic National Committee's spring meeting. Paul, you were hot on this. What are you thinking?
Boy, I mean, I remember talking to, our contributor, Denver Post, City Hall reporter Elliot Wensler about this when she first reported this was happening. And I've since been talking to people inside the city and around the city about how big of a priority this is. Like, yeah, maybe it'd be nice, but like, do we actually care? And I've heard that this is the mayor's current favorite thing to push. He is very enthusiastic about raising money to host the DNC, to put together a good pitch. And whenever it comes up, the accompanying speculation is because he wants to put himself on stage. He wants to be on the National Democratic Party's stage, showing off what a great job he did in Denver in 2028. That's the narrative part that I keep hearing around this. Patty, what do you think?
Okay, even I think that's excessively cynical. Here's the thing. If you were the mayor of Denver and going through what he is running a city, which isn't fun these days, you'd want to do the best thing you can for the city. And there's no question, if you look back at what happened here in 2008 and the attention Denver got, and I mean, what it meant to have Barack Obama nominated here, the energy was extraordinary. So was the economy. And you wouldn't mind bringing that.
Was it Hancock at that time?
No, it's Hickenlooper.
Oh, it's Hickenlooper.
And you think about the people like Elbert Wedgeworth and Steve Farber who led the fundraising to get, and it is huge fundraising. I think it was like $50 million at the time. It's huge fundraising. So you've got to bring the money in. You can't do it otherwise. And they did. I mean, they really did. And it was an amazing time here. And I can see why you would want to do that again. It revitalizes downtown. I don't know quite where everything would be held because
Mhm.
Ball Arena, where it was held last time when it was the Pepsi Center, is going to be under construction. So they'll have to figure that part out.
Oh,
But maybe they could postpone that if they get it. I don't know when it's going to be announced. But sure, I'm sure if you're the mayor, I'm sure Hickenlooper loved being on stage, but it's so much work to bring people here. But it's also really exciting for your city.
do you think
Yeah.
the fundraising component is viable?
I think
In a
it's viable again.
2026
I
for
haven't
them?
heard who they're putting the arm on. I mean, Steve Farber has passed away. I would guess Elbra, who's not on city council, she really pushed. I mean, you have to look at what Elbra did. She was in the same position as Amanda Sandoval 20 years ago. What she did to really push it made a difference.
My thought for this was, at Ball Arena is where they did it last time. What is Denver's best story right now? It's this women's soccer team and the soccer stadium. They're building a brand new stadium. It'll be done in 2028, I think. Rob Cohen, who co-owns the team. He's the face of the business side of the team. He's a big booster of downtown already. He's been behind the Olympics bid about 10 years ago. I think this is a guy, this is a story to tell. That's the stage, that's the pitch in my mind.
Of course,
if
it's
I'm
not
Denver.
downtown, but
I guess that's true. I mean, it's the new downtown.
Yeah.
they can all go over to drink on Broadway.
Yeah, I'm truly. Yeah, because I mean, I think the hope too with the stadium, obviously, like most large projects like this, that's a catalytic development for the rest of sections of Broadway that are maybe underutilized.
But it wouldn't happen by 2028.
No, absolutely not. I mean, it would be cool to take some of those people to Casa Bonita.
Oh my God.
Be a good selling point. Is like, do you guys want to have a private dinner at Casa Bonita?
For so many people would get a piece of that. If the DNC came, that would be
and that's
huge for
kind of the
city. This
argument,
is
right?
A blue city, progressive stronghold, all of the local political operatives. This would be like a huge holiday for them. For us, it's a great story to tell.
Right.
Think about all these great, like famous politicians that would be in town. Maybe want to talk about Denver with us. That'd be so cool.
So the problem then becomes, we know what it would bring Denver. Economy, excitement, energy that we really need in this city again. What does it bring the Democratic National Party? And that's the issue because we're already so blue.
And last time we had the great transition. It was when we were first becoming from purplish to blue. And now it's like, I mean, people are talking about a blue wave in the midterms this fall. Like some people are saying the Democrats could be in control of 7 seats of our 8 seats of Congress after the midterms. If it's a big blue wave, if Colorado Springs goes blue, that's a huge reason why the Democratic Party would want to come set up the DNC in Colorado.
But we've also
They just would have gotten to Colorado. Why would they need it?
Why would they need? Because it shows off their strength. It shows off the best of the Democratic Party's promise. This is what Shad Murab said in the article in the Denver Post about this.
The party chair.
Yeah, Shad Murab is chair of the party. He was like, oh no, sorry, this is Jason Crow. Jason Crow says we're a model for the country. That's why these DNCs can be powerful, is they use the story of the place to build into the story of the party to tell that to the national audience.
Well, that's Denver's sales pitch. But again, what does it bring nationally? I mean, should they be in Atlanta instead or in other places that need that blue oomph more?
Yeah,
we've talked a lot about the division within the Democratic Party as well. And I'm thinking about one of the biggest moments for at least like sort of countercultural folks from the last DNC was the Rage Against the Machine show and the walk that everybody made from the Coliseum to Ball Arena. And that is not where people are today on the far left. So I'd be curious if that is a factor in some capacity, is how, I mean, we're talking about a big race, like thinking about DeGette versus Malat, Quiros and Wanda James. Like that seat has never been thought of to be anybody but DeGette for a long time.
30 years and 20 years Pat Schroeder before her.
Right. So I just wonder how that plays into that.
Well, and then you also have to think, will the city be smart? I mean, there were problems with First Amendment speeches. Remember the gulag?
The rounding up
gulag
of people.
on the Platte.
Yeah.
Talking about in 2008.
Yes.
There was some kind of crackdown to make the
on
city.
protesters.
And they were putting
there was a
people in
protester pen. And
yes.
They improved on it a lot, but it was not
But it wasn't
good
a
in the
good
beginning.
look.
No, it was not a good look. But then it was completely countered because Barack Obama's acceptance speech, they had to move it to Mile High Stadium because so many people wanted in.
And we don't know who the nominee is going to
We
be,
have no
so we
idea.
don't know if they could fill an Empower Field or whatever.
One funny detail from this delegation that Denver, so Crow and Johnston and the council members, apparently, and this was in the Denver Post, someone from Denver, presumably dressed in a big blue bear costume in New Orleans at the Democrats' spring meeting where they're making this pitch. an homage, obviously, to our Big Blue Bear outside the convention center. And apparently the Big Blue Bear has been getting a lot of attention from attendees, Shad Mareb says. Everyone's getting a picture with the Big Blue Bear wearing Mardi Gras beads.
You just wait until you meet the guy dressed as Lucifer. It's going to get crazy.
And isn't it convenient that they're blue?
Oh,
You don't see the yearling, the little red pony down there.
That's true. We
good
got
point.
our iconic blue animals. By the way, we're going to be doing some events later this year for CityCast Denver, and I had this thought while we were touring a space for one last week. I would love it. I know there's people with awesome Lucifer costumes. I want to, please reach out.
Give us a call.
We'd like to work with you. I would love to be at events where there are people in Lucifer costumes, and that would be.
We could hire you.
Yeah. Yes. Please reach out
In
if you
fact,
have
you
one of
had
those
some at your
costumes.
costume contest.
We did. I loved it.
Your most Denver.
More, please.
And then baby Mike
Ruined
Johnston
by a
won.
little toddler.
Hey, that's my friend's kid.
Was it?
Yes.
It was adorable. It keeps showing up on my phone.
All right. Well, again, if you have thoughts on this, because clearly we are all speculating heavily about this DNC proposal, give us a call 720-500-5418 and let us know what you think. Maybe you had we know people out there that have inside info. Let us know what you know. All right. We're going to take a quick break. And when we come back, we hear from you directly, our dear listeners and readers. This episode is brought to you by the University of Denver. The University of Denver is Denver's home for college sports. It's a place where championships aren't just victories, they're a tradition. This season, DU men's hockey captured its 11th national championship, more than any other college hockey program in history. 11 titles, 11 moments that are a reminder of what greatness feels like. But what makes these pioneers truly special doesn't stop at the final buzzer. DU student athletes are champions on and off the ice, balancing elite competition with academic excellence. In fact, the team posts an average GPA of 3.6, proving that discipline, teamwork, and drive translate everywhere they go. Because at the University of Denver, winning is about more than trophies. It's about standards. It's about values. From the classroom to the rink, DU sets the standard, and the nation is watching. So join us in celebrating the winningest college hockey program in history and a university where excellence is always the goal. That's the Denver difference. Learn more at denverpioneers.com. That's denverpioneers.com. This episode is brought to you by Cozy Earth. What does good sleep actually feel like? You know, the kind where you wake up and you don't want to get out of bed. This Mother's Day, Cozy Earth is making it easier to give that feeling to the people who matter. Buy a sheet set for yourself and get one to give, because the mom in your life deserves a bed she genuinely looks forward to getting into. And trust me, moms deserve Cozy Earth's bamboo sheet set. Made of 100% viscose from bamboo, these sheets have a buttery soft sateen finish that gets softer with every wash. Breathable, temperature regulating, and designed with an oversized fit for a gentle drape that settles around you just right. This Mother's Day, give the gift that shows up every single night. Head to CozyEarth.com and use our code CozyDenverBOGO for an exclusive buy one, give one offer running from April 12th to April 18th on sheet sets. And if you get a post-purchase survey, mention you heard about Cozy Earth right here on CityCast Denver. I do have a gift that shows up every night. It's called a toddler that comes in my room and tries to crawl into my cozy sheets. Okay, we're back. It is Tuesday, and we are hearing from you, our brilliant and hilarious listeners, about the things you care about. We've got a couple comments here from our most recent show with gardening tips with Anne Maria Wad. Paul, do you want to play a voicemail for us?
Sure.
Okay.
Hi, Bree. It's Jenny calling from
Jenny.
University Park, and I'm listening to your podcast where you're talking about your squirrel strife. And I wanted to help you feel a little bit more endeared towards the squirrel. Have you ever checked out this Mark Rober on the internet? He creates these backyard squirrel mazes, and there are several. He did it first in 2020, and he's gone back to the drawing board and made a couple. He used to be a NASA guy, and he makes these insane squirrel mazes. You got to check them out. You might hate the squirrels just a tiny bit less. Or, I don't know, maybe you and Montgomery will create a maze. Adios.
First of all, I do know about Mark Rober because I have a toddler who loves his internet
really?
show. Yes, because he does experiments. He like blows stuff up. So I've not seen his squirrel content though. I'll definitely check that out, Jenny. Thank you so much. Okay, one more thought on the squirrels. Rose from Athmar Park says, an idea for keeping wildlife out of your trash is to use a child lock. Oh my God, I never thought of this. We use the ones that baby-proof cabinets, and it keeps animals out of our cans. You do have to remember to unclip them when you put your bins out or they will break eventually, but they lasted us 4 years. Also, genius idea. Love this. Thank you, Rose. Thank you, Rose and Jenny, for writing in.
Those are great comments. I know the Mark Rober guy as well. I remember those squirrel videos. Those are really fun. I have to say, it reminds me a little bit of a video I saw on Instagram over the weekend. So there I am, just scrolling. Just swipe,
As
swipe,
you
swipe.
want to do.
Let
Yes.
my eyes glaze over, and then I see this video of a very high shot of a backyard, and someone is digging a giant hole and burying school buses that they're then covering with dirt and then converting into a bomb shelter. And full of supplies.
Like physical, like full
prepper
scale
stuff.
school buses, not like what?
That's what I thought. I was like, wow, this is cool. I'm watching this, blah, blah, scroll. And then I clicked through the account and it said entirely generated by AI. This account is 100% AI. And now I'm thinking about this Mark Rober guy and these squirrel mazes, and I'm like, I bet you could make a pretty good video using one of these AI models.
I saw a video of a Korean Jesus being flown in the air, and he just kept going and going till he was over a skyscraper, and I was like, this can't be real. It was like a
Sometimes they're
production.
It's crazy. How much, I was having this conversation, how much of that do you think is AI right now on those feeds?
Everything.
What percentage?
I don't know. I'm so scared.
40.
40? That's what JD said. JD was like
Really?
60-40 real to AI.
We just have to get off.
I think so.
And it's happening so
friggin'
fast. I'm
killed me.
relieved that someone is not really burying a school bus in their backyard.
It's a good looking shelter. I was like, how are these camera angles so good? Look at a lot of cameras. This is high quality video.
All right.
Why would they invest so much money in such a good quality video of this project?
Because they're trying everything they can to get you to stop.
Yeah, it was just about my attention. That was the only.
It was crazy. It's the last frontier.
It's dystopian.
Yes, and it worked.
Thank you for your comments, Jenny and Rose.
Love it.
Sorry to bum everyone out about.
I know. It's like
crap.
Just despite Paul's bummerness, those were great thoughts
Let's
and comments.
Something else in the mix.
Okay,
here.
we've got a text. I hope you cover the Mais versus Mais story. Media has favored the male Michelin chef so much without even mentioning that there is a restaurant in place with the same name with fantastic food. This is from Seth in Broomfield. Paul, I do want to say we haven't talked about it on the show, but we did write about it in our newsletter. So we've been watching the story as well.
Yeah, and we did talk to Maria Rangel, who runs the Mais food truck, a few years ago. We just talked to her about running a business, what that was like. So it was kind of interesting seeing her post last week talking about this conflict she's had with Johnny Curiel, who's one of the co-owners of Fondafina Hospitality, behind Alma Fondafina, the Michelin star restaurant. He's this hotshot chef. If you haven't heard of him, does this different personal takes on Mexican food at a bunch of new restaurants, more every year. They also told me no investors. This is just the Curiels, just Johnny and Casey Curiel, no background investors. But yeah, so the conflict was Johnny and his wife were going to open a new place called Mais with an E at the end. And Maria's food truck is called Mais with no E.
And it's also a current brick and mortar restaurant.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's inside.
Good to know.
Oh my God. It's inside the Regency that used to be
It's the
God.
event center
out,
now
Patty.
where they have all the immersive stuff at
Yes.
Eladi and 38th
Yes.
and whatever its name it is.
Yes.
Right now.
Interesting.
So you can go to Mais, brick and mortar.
So she puts a post up and she's like, I've been having conversations with Johnny for trying to get him to change his name because it's going to infringe on my business, and he has not done it. So I'm going public now. And so we asked the Curiels about that when we saw that post. And then they responded to me an hour later with a link to their own Instagram where they had posted, we are now changing our name. It is Fonda Mais now. And that's the name of the new restaurant. So they did, once it was public, change the name. And they didn't
People
explain
are still
why
very
or the
critical,
timeline.
yes.
And it looks bad for him.
Well, his story is really fascinating. Think about this. He was originally sued by my neighbor Felix when they opened
That's right.
Alma Fondafina. So that was like the big guys coming down on these little guys starting
Right.
this. How their restaurants took off so fast is extraordinary. And especially when you hear about other restaurateurs complaining you can't possibly open a restaurant in Denver. It's impossible. Here, these guys are up to 4 or 5. And now they're the big guys. But they did change their names, so that's good. But what's fascinating to figure out is why, when you catch a wave as a restaurateur, wow. Why him? Why now? But more to the point, you can open a restaurant in Denver and make it work. It's interesting. And this is the first time we've really heard about him maybe squashing a little guy, and he surrendered very fast. So,
Yeah.
I mean, when you read Maria's story, it really was like, I'm coming from my own kitchen. My kids are helping me. My family's helping me to make this. And she did the food truck for a few years, which a lot of folks do to get that bump into brick and mortar. But the funny thing to me is what you just said, Paul, about you asked for a comment and they directed you to an Instagram post. And I was like, this is where we are now. It's like, here's an Instagram post. Here's another Instagram post.
Yeah. We don't have to answer questions about him.
Yeah.
Well, at least they really made them. They weren't AI. Yep. It's exactly what the Pearl did. That's where it broke.
Yeah. Exactly.
And that's one of the interesting things as you're a journalist chasing after this.
Try to unspin all of the narrative and then how it gets digested. And it's tough.
Yeah. I would like to make a personal plea that no one use the word social or society in any more business names. If I read one more blah, blah, Hampton Social. I mean, the names, for restaurants.
Overused trend.
Overused. So society for business, for non-restaurant businesses, although I'm sure there's some of those too, but social, gotta stop.
I agree.
Give me 3.
Bacon Social House.
Okay.
Hampton Social House.
Social.
There was a Lodo Social for a while. There are more.
What is the prompt? What does this brand even say? What does that say?
Nothing.
To me?
It's kind of like provisions to me. I'm like, I hate provisions. Like
provisions.
Yeah, when it's like a restaurant and the name is provisions. I'm like, cool. So you're serving me military food?
Oh no, that evokes like local. That evokes sustenance,
those
hardiness.
prepackaged meals.
Well, social is just like
food.
You will come here, you will meet some friends, you will take an Instagram. You will find an Instagram wall.
It's not a bar. It's a third place.
No.
It's
like fighting. I have a new.
I would say
I have a new gripe with the third place thing, but that's for another show.
Talk about it.
Well, third places can't be places that only some people can afford to go. Sorry, a third space is like a library, a park, somewhere that's more affordable or caters to a larger group, like across the economic spectrum. I find this to be such bullshit.
If you sell something, you're not a third
No,
space?
That's what I'm saying. It needs to be affordable to a more amount. I just don't like this. Like, I'm a third space, but I have $17 cocktails. Or like, you're not a third space. Shut up. Come on. You need to have, it needs to be a place where people can intersect with other people. Like that actually, I don't know. Something exploded in me recently where I was like, I'm done with this third space stuff.
Interesting.
Because I think that it's a term that's now being used to describe things that are not third spaces.
It also bumped along for so long, like Starbucks was your third space. Why 15 years later it suddenly is gaining cachet? I don't know.
Yeah, because I don't.
The loneliness epidemic.
Oh God!
Because
don't even get me started on
AI.
that.
That's why we want social everything. We want to go be in a place with real people.
Well, I hope that's the reaction.
This trend will not die. It will grow. That's my prediction. It's a PK lock.
CityCast Social?
No.
Hey, CityCast Social.
Absolutely.
Neighbors only. Come out and hang out. No, I don't want to take this word. But that is what we're doing as well. I mean, these are trends we're all feeling.
Yeah.
It's an isolating
I would
world.
say when you name a restaurant that, it is the most cynical move imaginable.
It's a marketing thing. I'm like, if you have to tell people it's a third space, it's not a third space. Okay.
How am I supposed to name a restaurant without marketing?
No, you can, but like,
you
but
just
I
come
feel
up
like
with something
it's
real.
kind of like banks calling themselves communities or like large corporations calling themselves communities. Like, come on, that doesn't mean it. Please. Anyway,
let's do this one last one because I looked up the numbers on this.
Can I give my one shout out to my aunt? I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
So we were talking about the Dave & Buster's when someone shared this RTD joke map and they called the Dave & Buster's area the Walt Disney Office Park. And I was like, what was there before Dave & Buster's? And I shouted out my mom and I was like, Mom, let me know. And my aunt actually texted me and said, before Dave & Buster's, there was a ladies' clothing store called Learner Shop. And her friend Carol worked there in high school. So thank you, Aunt Erin. And I'm sure Mark Barnhouse, friend of the show, will have some more information on learners. But I just want to share that.
Learners.
Yeah, Learner Shop.
Learner Shop.
Yep.
Okay.
Well, Paul, Patty, thank you so much.
My pleasure.
See you next time.
That's all for today here on CityCast Denver. If you enjoyed this show, why not take a minute to tell the person in the big blue bear costume about us? Rate the show wherever you get your podcasts, follow us on Instagram and TikTok, and subscribe to our morning newsletter at denver.citycast.fm. And hey, thanks to our new neighbors, Caitlin B., Brian S., and Jeremy G., who just joined our membership program. You can support this show and get great perks by becoming a CityCast Denver neighbor today at membership.citycast.fm. We'll be back tomorrow morning with more news from around the city. See you later.